Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into Peter Thiel's classic, 0 to 1. Its core message is pretty simple, but also pretty radical. The future isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we have to actually build. So let's just jump right in with the same contrarian question Thiel asks people he might hire. Why this question? Because if you're going to build something truly new, you have to be able to see a truth that almost nobody else does. It's a filter, right? It's designed to find that exact kind of original thinking. And why does that kind of thinking even matter? Well, because the future isn't just the day after tomorrow. A real future is one where the world looks fundamentally different from today. You know, without any real change, the future could still be 100 years away. But with it, with real innovation, the future could show up next week. Now, Thiel argues that progress toward that different future really only comes in two flavors. And for the last few decades, he says we've been completely obsessed with the wrong one. Let's break that down. Okay, so this is the central idea of the whole book. Doing what we already know how to do, well, that takes the world from 1 to n. That's horizontal progress, or what he calls globalization. Think about taking a smartphone that exists and just selling it in a new country. But creating something totally new, that takes us from 0 to 1. And that is vertical progress. That's technology. And this visual just nails the difference, right? Technology is intensive. It's like going from a typewriter to a computer. It's a leap. Globalization, on the other hand, is extensive. It's taking one typewriter and then building 100 more to sell everywhere. One creates a brand new capability, the other just copies an existing one. And look, this is where the stakes get really, really high. If all we do is globalize, if every developing country just copies the lifestyle of the developed world using today's technology, the result for our planet would be absolutely devastating. A future that's just a copy of the present, it's not sustainable. We desperately need new technology. All right, so if going from 0 to 1, creating new things, is the name of the game, what kind of business should you be trying to build? Well, his answer is a complete smackdown of pretty much everything you learn in business school. He says the goal isn't to be the best competitor. The goal is to escape competition entirely, to build a monopoly. Now, not the bad kind that rigs a system, but a creative monopoly, a company that is so good at what it does that there's no real substitute. I mean, think about Google and search, right? They're basically a monopoly of one, and because of that, they have the freedom and the cash to actually go and innovate. And what's so wild is how companies basically lie about this stuff. Monopolies, to avoid getting in trouble with regulators, pretend they're just a tiny player. So Google might say, oh, we're not just search, we compete in the massive markets for ads and phones and self-driving cars. By lumping all those huge markets together, they make themselves look like a small fish in a giant ocean. But companies in tough competition, they do the exact opposite. Yeah, they slice and dice the market super thin to make themselves look like a big deal. They'll say, we're the only restaurant serving British food in Palo Alto. But the real market is all the restaurants people could eat at nearby. And in that real market, they're facing brutal, profit-killing competition. And that lie, that temptation, it can be absolutely fatal for a startup. So for Thiel, this isn't just business strategy. Competition is an ideology, something that's baked into our society and messes up our thinking. It makes us obsess over our rivals instead of creating real value. We end up fighting over the same old scraps instead of creating something new for everyone. Okay, so if competition is a trap, how do you get out of it? According to Thiel, it all starts with changing your entire philosophy of the future itself. You can actually map our whole attitude towards the future on this simple grid. Are you an optimist or are you a pessimist? And do you see the future as a concrete thing you can plan for, that's definite? Or as a totally random, hazy thing you can't control, that's indefinite? Thiel says our whole society today is stuck in one of these boxes, and it's seriously holding us back. And guess where we are? Right here, indefinite optimism. We just kind of assume the future will be better, but we have no concrete plan for how. It leads to us hedging our bets, collecting options, diversifying everything, basically just trusting in the process. Finance is the perfect example. It's a whole industry built on making money from the future without having any specific plan to create that future wealth. Now, contrast that with the mindset of, say, the mid-20th century. That was an age of definite optimism. They had huge, ambitious plans, and they actually went out and built them. The Golden Gate Bridge, the entire interstate highway system, the Apollo program, these things didn't happen by accident. They were the result of grand visions for a better future, planned and executed with absolute conviction. So, how do we get that back? How do we recapture that sense of a definite future? For Thiel, the answer is pretty simple. You have to believe there are still secrets left in the world to be discovered, important truths that are just waiting to be found. This right here is the DNA of any 0 to 1 company. It's built around a unique insight, a secret about how the world works that other people don't see it. I mean, Airbnb was built on the secret that millions of people would actually be willing to let complete strangers sleep in their spare bedrooms. It sounds crazy, but it was a secret hidden in plain sight. And one of the most powerful secrets of all, one that's also hidden in plain sight, is something called the power law. You know, we're all taught in school about the bell curve, the normal distribution. Well, Thiel says that's just flat out wrong for most of the important things in life. The world is radically unequal. A tiny handful of things, investments, decisions, people, end up producing almost all of the results. And there's no better illustration of this than in venture capital. The single best investment in a venture fund will often earn more money than all the other investments in the fund combined. It's not a smooth curve of good and bad investments. It's one or two explosive winners, and then a long, long tail of failures. That's the power law in action. So, what does this all mean? It boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. You have to focus on the one thing that is going to be decisively better. The one key insight, the one singular bet. Because in a world that's actually governed by a power law, that single bet isn't just important, it's everything. This just flies in the face of all that conventional wisdom, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Thiel says that's terrible advice. He argues it's much better to have the conviction to find one truly promising secret and then go all in. It's a way harder path, for sure, but he believes it's the only one that actually leads from 0 to 1. And that brings us right back to the beginning, but with a new challenge. This question is really the entrepreneur's version of that contrarian prompt from the start. The answer to this, by its very definition, is a secret that has the potential to become a truly world-changing company. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?